Look, therapy's powerful, no doubt. But let's not pretend it's the one-size-fits-all miracle. Some people sit in a therapist's office and feel nothing but awkward silence and a $150 invoice. Doesn't mean they're broken or resistant. It just means their brain might need something different to open up. Neuroscience shows us that healing isn't a straight line. It's a network. Our brain's plasticity responds to stimulation, not just conversation. Sometimes the shift happens not from talking it out, but from doing something that lights a fire inside you. A different kind of wiring. A spark? Now, that spark? It doesn't have to come in a clinical setting. You ever notice how doing something creative, writing, sketching, jamming on a guitar, suddenly makes your brain breathe again? There's a reason. The prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain tangled up in worry and self-critique, chills out when you tap into creativity. You move out of survival mode and into expression. And no, it doesn't have to be good art. It just has to be honest, expressive, alive. Because healing isn't about perfection, it's about movement. And sometimes, picking up a paintbrush or dancing alone in your living room at 2 a.m. is more therapeutic than any worksheet or journal prompt. That's not woo-woo. That's biology. Your nervous system craves rhythm, color, and curiosity. It thrives on it. So, yeah, therapy's amazing for many, but it's not the only path through the fog. The world is full of healing doors that don't look like offices. The trick is finding what your system responds to. What makes your brain whisper, "Yeah, this feels like home"? You ever wonder why certain songs hit you so hard? Or why a sudden walk in nature calms your chaos faster than any breathing exercise? That's not just preference, it's pattern recognition. Your brain is a pattern machine. It runs on loops. Trauma? That's just a loop your brain got stuck in. Anxiety? Same. It's your nervous system repeating a survival script it wrote a long time ago. But here's the good news. Patterns can be rewritten. That's where creative practice comes in. Because it doesn't just distract you from the pain, it rewires the brain's rhythm. When you make something, anything, you're training your system to engage with life in a new way. You're building new loops. Safe ones. Empowering ones. Psychologists talk about flow state. That sweet spot where time disappears and you're fully immersed. That's dopamine, serotonin, even a little oxytocin sometimes, all dancing through your bloodstream. It's the same neurochemical cocktail that makes love, connection, and even spirituality feel so good. And you don't need to climb a mountain to get there. You just need something that pulls you in. It could be making a beat, editing a video, writing poetry on your notes app. Doesn't have to be deep. It just has to be yours. This is where creativity stops being a hobby and becomes medicine. Not because it fixes you, but because it helps you remember that you're already whole, even when your mind's trying to tell you otherwise. Let's kill this myth real quick. You don't have to be good at something for it to heal you. This isn't American Idol. It's your mental health. Somewhere along the way, we started believing creativity is only for the gifted. Like if you can't draw like Da Vinci or sing like Adele, you should just sit down and shut up. That's trash. Your nervous system doesn't care about talent. It cares about freedom. Psychology calls it self-expression without judgment. It's where healing happens, not from impressing, but from releasing. When a child paints with no rules, no fear, no pressure, it's pure emotional intelligence in action. We lose that as adults. We become critics instead of creators. But what if healing looks more like finger painting than fixing? In trauma therapy, there's a practice called somatic experiencing. It's about letting your body process what words can't. Guess what? Dancing around your room like an idiot? That's somatic. Freestyling in your car? Somatic. Scribbling on a napkin while you cry over lo-fi beats? Still somatic. It's not about making art for the world. It's about letting your insides breathe. You don't need permission from some therapist or guru or YouTube coach. You just need to stop waiting to be ready. Healing begins when you stop asking if it's valid and just start doing it anyway. Your brain might be the CEO, but your body is where the real archives live. That tight chest? That constant jaw clenching? That urge to shut down when things get too loud? Yeah, that's stored information. Old data. The kind your nervous system didn't get to process when it should have. It doesn't go away just because you understand your trauma. Insight helps, sure, but embodiment heals. This is where creative practice hits different. Movement-based healing, like dance, martial arts, or even just intuitive stretching, gives your body a voice. You don't have to choreograph some perfect TikTok routine. Just move how your system wants to move. Neuroscientists talk about the vagus nerve, the massive communicator between your brain and your gut. When you move rhythmically, especially with breath and intention, you soothe that nerve. You signal, "We're safe now." And here's what's wild. Studies show that consistent movement-based creativity reduces cortisol, boosts neurogenesis, and improves memory. That's not just feeling better. That's rebuilding. It's your brain growing new highways out of old, burned-down roads. So, when you feel stuck, don't always try to think your way out. Let your body lead. Paint with your hands. Move without choreography. Hum until your chest shakes. Let the old stories shake loose from your bones. Your body has been waiting for you to listen. Here's something no one tells you. Sometimes the most creative thing you can do is nothing. No distractions, no music, no scrolling, just silence, stillness. You'd be surprised what surfaces when you stop filling the space. We live in a world that's allergic to quiet. But neuroscience has our back again. Studies show that intentional silence helps the brain shift from reactive mode to reflective mode. That's when deep integration happens. Your subconscious finally gets a chance to organize the chaos, like closing 100 browser tabs in your mind. And silence doesn't mean isolation. It's not about being alone with your demons. It's about giving your inner world the mic for once. Maybe you sit outside and just notice. The wind, the tension in your shoulders, the tiny thoughts that float up without filters. That's not nothing. That's creative listening. That's spiritual hygiene. Philosophers like Kierkegaard and even Buddhist thinkers talk about the self being drowned by noise. But in stillness, you reconnect. You remember. You hear the stuff that matters. Sometimes your next move doesn't come from a self-help book. It comes from 5 minutes of letting yourself be. Healing in a vacuum is a myth. Sure, solitude's got its magic, but we're wired for connection, literally. The human brain has mirror neurons, tiny systems that light up when we see someone else express emotion. It's empathy, but on a neurological level. That means your nervous system needs others to fully process, integrate, and regulate. So yeah, creative practices are powerful solo, but when shared, they multiply. Singing with strangers, building something as a group, even jamming on goofy improv ideas in a DM's group chat. That's medicine. Because creative vulnerability in a safe space gives your brain a new story. It's okay to be seen. And no, this doesn't mean performing or proving anything. It means being real in front of real people. That shared awkwardness, that's healing. That unscripted laughter, also healing. Psychology calls this co-regulation, and it's one of the fastest ways to exit survival mode. If you've been isolating, I get it. Most of us were taught that pain should be hidden, handled, or fixed before it's shared. But that's backwards. Sometimes the healing begins because you share the messy part, and creativity gives you a safer language for that. You don't have to explain everything. You just have to create and let someone say, same. Routines are fine, but rituals, they hit deeper. A routine is brushing your teeth. A ritual is lighting a candle, putting on that one playlist, and giving your soul 5 minutes to exhale. The difference? Intention. Psychologically, rituals create structure in chaos, even small ones. And when creativity becomes ritual, done with purpose, not pressure, It transforms your emotional landscape. You start associating healing with sacred time, not just a checkbox. That tells your brain, hey, this matters. This is for us. You don't need incense or mantras, unless that's your thing. Maybe it's a daily voice note to yourself, or sketching your mood in colors every morning, or stepping outside barefoot while sipping coffee and humming whatever melody spills out. The power isn't in the activity. It's in how present you are while doing it. Anthropologists and even cognitive scientists agree. Ritual behavior increases feelings of agency, belonging, and calm. And you don't need to borrow rituals from other cultures or Instagram aesthetics. You can create your own, ones that reflect who you are now, not just who you're trying to become. Ritual is how you remind yourself, this moment isn't filler, it's real, it's yours, and it's enough. Here's the truth. Most people never hear loud enough. You're not broken, you're adapting, you're evolving. What looks like chaos or shutdown is often just your brain and body trying to keep you alive the only way they know how. That's not failure. That's survival intelligence. Creative healing isn't about fixing yourself. It's about reclaiming yourself. The parts of you that were silenced, shamed, or ignored. They're still in there, waiting. And when you create, not for likes, not for approval, but just for the sake of truth, you give those parts a way back home. From a neuroscience lens, every time you engage with creativity in a safe and intentional way, you reinforce pathways of self-trust. You tell your brain, we're allowed to exist, we're allowed to feel. Over time, that rewrites the internal narrative. From what's wrong with me, to look at what I've survived, look at who I'm becoming. So yeah, therapy is dope. But beyond therapy, there's this whole universe of creative, soulful, body-based practices that actually work. Not because they cure you, but because they bring you back to yourself. And maybe that's the most healing thing of all. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be productive. You just have to begin. One word, one brushstroke, one shaky dance step at a time. Your healing gets to be weird. It gets to be messy. It gets to be yours.